California sunshine. Yes, we're not in Connecticut, and we're about to do something that I've always wanted to do, and that is to drive all the way from West Coast to East Coast, sea to shining sea, as they say in cannonball terminology, and we're going to do it in an iconic car. And it's not what you would expect out of this channel, because folks, it is not a Porsche. No sir. It is a Volvo 240 wagon. Oh yeah. Now we've had a Volvo 240 wagon for about 7 or 8 months. You may have seen it lurking in some of my videos that I've done in the recent times. The one we've got at home has a little bit of rust in it, and so I wanted to find one without any rust at all, and that's what I've done. This is a one owner car, has 200 and something thousand miles on, and not a patch of rust on it anywhere. So let's take a look at the route and let me show you where we're going. So then, 4 main targets on our way home. Starting in San Francisco, we head to Lake Tahoe in Northern California, then on through the deserts of Nevada and Utah to the Bonneville Salt Flats and Salt Lake City. Then to the summit of Pikes Peak, Colorado. Then on to the National Corvette Museum in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and then home to Connecticut. Yeah, baby! We're going to go all the way across America in this lovely Volvo 240 wagon. She ain't fast, she's pretty though, and she's got plenty of space, and she's comfortable, and she's in good condition. Look at this beautiful look of real leather here in the car. Only seen 200,000 miles, and nary a crack anywhere or any dirt. Plenty of space in the front, plenty of comfort in the rear, my friends, and in the back enough space for your mum. So I'll tell you more about the car as we go, but let's go into San Francisco and have some fun. Lombard Street. I've always wanted to drive this street that they call the crookedest street in the world. 8 turns to help cars navigate its 27% gradient. It's stunningly beautiful and empty at the time we got there, but I can't help thinking that it would be perpetually busy and not a very great place to live. After having grabbed some lunch at the pier at Fisherman's Wharf, listened to this seal shouting about how he is the greatest ever seal, we set off to get our first stunning photo opportunity, the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm struck by how close you can get to it and how quiet it is there. I can't quite understand why the parking lot isn't full of people gawping at this man-made marvel. It is truly breathtaking and something you could watch for hours. It was the tallest suspension bridge until just 1998. Not bad considering it was built in 1937. Certainly better than getting the ferry to Sausalito, although I must say, this GT3 is probably the best way to go. He gets it, doesn't he? Speaking of Sausalito, what a discovery! A chic little place right by the sea with the best views of San Francisco. I resolved to come back here. Onwards then, time to hit the road and get to Lake Tahoe. If you haven't been to San Francisco before, you'll notice very quickly that it's a breezy, chilly place. A microclimate, in fact, which changes as soon as you leave. Once you get over the bridge into Marin County, where the beautiful people live, it gets hot. And that marked our journey from there to Lake Tahoe. Fruit trees and unexpected rice paddies segued into pine trees and steep hills that our little Volvo struggled with. But then, bam! Look at this. Tahoe is frankly astonishing, an oasis of beauty amidst the mountains and pine trees. Peace and quiet, and I felt myself relax instantly, and the boys loved it too. We sat on our friend's deck, and the light pollution was so minimal at night that you could see satellites in the sky whizzing past. None of us wanted to leave Tahoe, honestly, but leave we must, and sadly it was via Reno. Yes, not a place to linger, so we headed out into the desert. The I-80 interstate road is basically a straight line through the desert from Reno to Salt Lake City, Utah, where our hotel waited for us, and which was next to the Bonneville Salt Flats. And it's a true desert. As our little car propelled us along, I questioned the wisdom of being in the middle of a desert with no local towns in a 1989 Volvo with over 200,000 miles. But she kept going all the way to the flats themselves. Now for the time of our show that I always like to call, reviewing a Volvo 240 at the Bonneville Salt Flats. Take a look at where we are. It is amazing. It is empty. It is empty. So you arrive up this road here and there are people to greet you. The salt flats are too wet for us to go on, unfortunately. So stop, Jay, you're saying to me in your heads, what is it about the Volvo 240? It's just a Volvo 240. Why are you bigging it up? Why are you giving it all the YouTube claptrap and telling everybody that it's great? Well, here we are. Let me tell you. There are three things about this car that I really like. One, it is iconic. When you think of Volvo, this is the car that you think of. Two, when the end of days comes, there will be three things left: cockroaches, Jesus Christ, and the Volvo 240. And we can deduce from that that the Lord drives a Volvo 240. And thirdly, it is simply because it is so comfortable. And what is wrong with doing something perfectly without any kind of drama? This car is comfortable. It does not have sports seats. It has comfortable armchairs. You can go long distance in it. You can get all your stuff in it. This car has driven 450 miles today, literally at 85 miles an hour all day. We stopped once for fuel, once for something to eat. 85 miles an hour for 450 miles, no problem. Stick with us, we've got a long way of this journey to go. The guy in officialdom, that's anyone in a high-vis vest, told me that it's really not advisable to go out on the salt flats. It plasters the car in salty mud, and when you inevitably do get stuck, the cost to call someone to drag you out is enormous. Besides, we arrived too late and it really was a bit soft. So, no land speed records for the 1980 Swedish car for us this time. Salt Lake City is smaller than I thought, but I liked it a lot. Surrounded by mountains and lots of space. Onwards we went in our little Volvo and we were soon in Wyoming. Time to talk a little bit about the Volvo 240 as you marvel at the scenery. You know, they made 2.8 million of these cars over a 19-year span between 1974 and 1993. It is the archetypal Volvo, the one that you think of when someone mentions Volvo. It conjures up images of pipe-smoking British middle class if you're British. Safe, unexciting, dull. That's absolutely not how our family sees things though. These things are classics. As I said before, reliable, iconic, roomy, and full of character. And when I say reliable, that's down to two things. The engine and the transmission are bulletproof. They call the engines red brick engines, and they are as solid as they are understressed. The same with the M47 manual transmission. You should go for the manual because these are not powerful cars and the auto is not a good combination. There are 240s out there with 3 million miles on them. They are comfortable, spacious and reliable. Doesn't that sound like a good long-distance tourer? Pikes Peak has been on my bucket list since forever, and I'd never thought that I'd do it, and I never thought I'd do it in a Volvo 240. But here we are at Pikes Peak at the Gateway. Now the record here is, I think, just under 8 minutes to get up it in, I think it was an electric VW. Michel Mouton did it in, I think, just under 12 minutes in 1985. We're in a Volvo 240, which from the factory had 113 horsepower. We've done some little bit of arithmetic here, and when we get to the top, with the lack of oxygen, we're going to have 67 horsepower. So maybe we're going to be in the 8 or 9 minute range, maybe not that 7 minute range. But here we go, guys. Let's see. If you want to see the whole journey up the mountain, take a look at the time-lapse YouTube short I did of it, which takes you from the bottom to the top in 90 seconds. I also strongly recommend that you watch the record holder's journey in the electric VW to show how dangerous this journey could be. At the pace everyone does this journey though, providing you maintain concentration, it's perfectly safe and somewhat sedate actually. The scenery is astonishing, so it's as well that everyone drives slowly, and true enough, as the oxygen diminished, so did the Volvo's power. Foot pinned in first now. My God, look at the drop. Get the drop on the video.
I think somebody crashed here once.
I would not be surprised. Did they die?
Right now.
First gear, hairpin. The hairpins were first gear affairs, but she held her nerve and got us to the top with no bother. I think we've got about 3 horsepower now. Well, here we are at the top of Pikes Peak, where the oxygen up here is 40% less than it was when we started, which was around 7,000 feet. And you do get a bit woozy and a bit sort of lightheaded and take things a bit more deliberately. Old Dependable, she made it up here okay. And yeah, took us 45 minutes. We've gained 7,000 feet in 19 miles. And we're at 14,000 feet right now. And I want to show you, wow, what I can see before I expire. Have a look at this. You really do have to watch the oxygen though. Whilst I was talking to you guys on the camera just there, my son Louis developed pretty bad altitude sickness. Headache, nausea and tingling fingers scared him quite a bit, and so we made our immediate descent. It cleared right up. Just to bear that in mind if you're a bit susceptible. East Colorado and into Kansas are parts of America I hadn't seen before. Our GPS decided not to take us on an interstate, but rather east on the back roads. To say it is rural is a massive understatement. Hundreds and hundreds of miles of agriculture and farming towns, where each had a few houses, a grain silo, a gas station, and not much more, and nowhere anywhere near a Walmart, a Target, and the like. If your experience of America is the cities, then this is an eye-opener, believe me. We made quick progress though, and shot through Kansas and Missouri, and into Bowling Green, Kentucky. Yes, in case you didn't guess, the National Corvette Museum. Bowling Green, Kentucky is where they make Chevy Corvettes. So we're going to go in and have a look, but take a look at what happened 10 years ago this year to this very museum. We're going to go into this room later on and see some of the cars that were restored following the sinkhole collapse and some that didn't make it. They've been making Corvettes here in Bowling Green since 1981, and I must say this is a truly great museum. It's an exploration of the full history of the Corvette, spanning across all their road cars and the racing cars too. There's far too much to go through in this video, so I'll pick out a few ones that caught my eye and show you those. So let's start with the 69 Corvette L88 option. I don't know about you, but I'd never heard of that. What it makes this special is that it had a 427 big block engine, which put out over 500 horsepower in 1969. Only 116 L88 Corvettes made their way to a select group of privateer racers, and the museum here has 2 of them. This is the millionth Corvette ever made and came out of the hole in quite a state. However, Chevrolet took it back to their Michigan headquarters and spent 1,200 man-hours restoring it, including preserving, where possible, the parts that had the autographs of the assembly line workers. It did rather better, I'm afraid, than the 1.5 millionth car, which was too damaged to repair. Same with this 1993 prototype ZR1 Spider. And here is the room where it all happened. including a remnant of the sinkhole itself. A really great exhibition of cars in a cathedral-like atmosphere. Lastly then, the stroll through Corvette history brings you to where customers are actually taking delivery of their new cars, which is an option you can choose when you buy one. A truly happy place. Can you imagine taking delivery of one of these and having the guys take you through your new car? That was our last place of motoring interest on this tour, so we pointed the Volvo towards home and pursued the forest all the way back. And several short hours later, here we are again, back in Connecticut, with 2 Volvos. In fact, if you're looking for a Volvo, this one over here is for sale. Hit me up. I'll leave my email address on the screen. So what do we conclude from this journey? Well, what a journey, and what a country that's so diverse, from forests to lakes to mountains to deserts. In a fairly short time, we covered 3,500 miles in 1 week. You can really move on the US motorway system, the US highway system. As soon as you get away from the big cities, especially out west, those speed limits go up to 80 miles an hour and you can haul arse. But such astonishing beauty. I also feel that I understand America a little better now as well. Certainly going through some of those more rural parts of the country and having spent a lot of the time in the cities so far, that was a real eye-opener for me. Also, what a car! You could not have chosen a better car. Now, for all of you thinking, yeah, look, Jay, I'd rather do it in a GT3, a Turbo S, even a Mercedes S-Class or something, you would be fairly isolated from the environment that you are occupying at that moment in time. What I may not have told you is we didn't have air conditioning in this car. It doesn't work. Therefore, we had to have the windows open, and therefore we felt a real connection with where we were. We also felt way too hot as well. It was comfortable, it was economical, it was bulletproof reliable. It started on the button every time. It got just a fraction warmer as we made it grind up these hills, but then probably any car would. I can't say enough good things about this car, and I heartily recommend one to you. This was $6,500. One owner, no rust, saw us through the whole way. I hope you've enjoyed the journey along with me, my boys, and the Silver Bullet. If you have, consider subscribing, like. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.